Hi, it's Jared from Strong Roots Farm. Today I'm going to do a cattle water update. Made this water trough about 3 or 4 months ago. I used it for my garden. Today I'm going to do an update. I also, if you haven't seen this previous video of how I took this wagon gear apart and made the water trough, click back a few videos, check that out. Today I'll show you the update, show you what I turned it into. It's really become a great product here on my farm, a great piece of machinery with a very low cost. Coming up next. I'm Jared McGinnis, live in Southern Ohio with my awesome wife Jenny. We have 4 sons, Kelp, Gideon, Ruger, and Gatlin. This is a story of how we sold our new home in the suburbs, purchased an old unserviceable farm, and began to transform it into a local food source for us and our local community. We're on a mission of faith, family, and healthy food. Please subscribe and come with us on this journey. We are Strong Roots Farm. So I got this water trolley, made it a few months back like I said, and we've finally turned it into something for the cows. So there's a few things that I needed. One, I don't have water all the way out through my pasture, so I need water to transport along for my cattle as they move paddocks. Second thing I needed something to move their minerals on. So you can put a mineral box down and you can move that as you move your paddocks, but I wanted something that I could just put everything together, and as I moved it, it would move all that stuff with it. Third, I needed some shade. So I got some shade cloth. I wanted the cows to have a relaxed atmosphere where they could be. If they're in the middle of my pasture where there's no trees, it's hot in the summer here in Ohio, so I wanted them to have some shade. And lastly, I wanted to have them some relief from the flies. So I'm going to go through each of these things and show you how I built this thing and how much I spent on it, and we'll go through that. So first, the base is just a normal wagon running gear. Okay, so it's just a set of axles, 6x4 beams in it, and it has a tongue down at the end. If you haven't seen this, check back, you can see what that looks like. Put my IBC totes, those were 40 bucks a piece, so I've got $80 into those. Put those on top, potable water, that's all right there. They're food grade, and they didn't have any chemicals in before. They had a food grade caramel, and that washed out really well. They came pre-washed. The factory where I got them from, they cleaned those for me. So that's what I started with. That's kind of the base of this. Next, I built this wood frame right onto the 6x4s that the wagon came on. Okay, so all these 2x4s came off of a skid, so I didn't pay anything for them. But if you had to buy this, there's a 16-foot 2x4 that I got from that barn project a few months back, and the rest of these 2x4s came from those skids. But if you had to buy it all, you might have about $40 in wood here. So I spent 10 bucks on a box of 3-inch screws and put the framing all together. So we went up 4 times along the side. I did a cross member across the front and the back here to kind of hold the tanks from sliding forward. I also did some angle pieces to keep it from going, and I didn't put one on this front, but on the front of the wagon there's 2. So I got 2 angle pieces, and then there's angle pieces in the center. Along the back here, because I extended the top runner over the front and the back of the wagon, I put these angle pieces in as well. So that's kind of how I built the frame. Let's go into the roof. So the roof was pretty simple, but I had a lot of different thoughts as I was building it. This is kind of my hardest thing that I did as far as determining how I was going to do it, because I wanted it to be sturdy. So I ended up using PVC. This is an 1.25 inch Schedule 40 PVC. Did some 90s down here, and I've got a 16-foot length here, and I put these at 4 foot on center. So I'm 16 foot long on my wagon now, and I'm 10 foot wide. Purchased a tarp, and I use these little bungee straps here to connect it out to my PVC. PVC, I used screws right through the PVC, and then I used some U connecting clamps to give it some extra strength. So why it took me so long to do it this way, why I had to think about it. So I want it to be sturdy enough. There's going to be a snow load in Ohio in the winter. I can take this off though in the winter, but there's also a lot of rain. So I wanted to have a roof that shed the water really well and didn't have weight on it. And if I put a bunch of bearing weight on this outside post, these PVC are obviously going to snap. So I thought, well, I'll do a PVC and I'll arch it like a greenhouse. Ended up settling on just a flat roof. And Joel Salatin kind of sold me on that idea, because he said anywhere you park, it's not going to be perfectly level, so the water will run off. I went with a cheap tarp, went with some PVC. I think I have $60 in all the PVC, all the connectors, and the tarp. So I put some of this stuff I had, but most of it I had to purchase. So $60, say $80 if you have to buy everything. So not a lot of money for the roof and the clamps and all the stuff that went onto it. It works really well. There is a little bit of water puddling, but I just easily pushed up on it and it shed right off. It wasn't any big deal. Not enough to bear weight on it. It definitely doesn't puddle out here. It usually puddles over top of the tank. So let's go around to the minerals and I'll show you that side. All right, so I wanted to buy a tri-section mineral box. You've seen them before. They're low to the ground. They have the rubber mat that flips them. Those things are like 60 or 80 bucks, depending on where you go. I ended up settling on these rubber buckets here from Royal King. I think I bought these, and some capo clips. So I just capoed them right here to my tank, and they hang here. And so I have my 3 products. So I've got my salt mixture, I've got my Fertrell mineral, and then I've got my dehydrated kelp or seaweed. These go right along. I fill these buckets up about half full so they don't spill it out, they don't waste any. But as I move this cart along, it travels with them. I don't have to pick anything up. There's not a lot of spillage because it's right at their chest height, and they don't bang them a lot because they're rubber. They bounce a little bit and they're right against the cart. So the water. Originally, I was going to connect these 2 tanks together in the center. I was going to put uniseals in and put a PVC pipe. I decided not to do that. And the very first day, I learned my lesson on that. So I'm glad I didn't do that, and I would not recommend that. So basically, I hook a hose to the nozzles that I put on the tanks. I run the hose over to this small 25-gallon tank, okay? And then it has an automatic float system that I purchased. This was $14. This 25-gallon tank that I bought at Royal King, I think it was $24. They're usually about $1 a gallon, but I didn't want to spend that $80 or $200 on a big 200 or 300 gallon one. So I went with this little one, and I like it. The main thing I like about it is if I move this thing and I want to rinse it out and clean it, I only lose 25 gallons of water. I don't have to dump 300 gallons of water on the ground to wash out my tanks. So my water lasts longer. The other thing I did on my overhang here, that right when the cows go into the water, I have my fly bag, okay? So you can put diatomaceous earth in there if you want to be organic. If you want to use the permethrin stuff, powder that you can buy and put in these things, that's fine. But I'll try to walk away without making you dizzy here and show you. So when they go for the water, they have to touch the bag. I've noticed a significant decrease in the flies on my cows since I put this up. Lastly, was not something I had put in my plans and my drawings when I was doing this and thinking about this, but you can push this tarp up pretty easy. On top of these tanks, I used the last of everything I had tonight, but I can put my bags of mineral right up on here. So they travel through the field, they're underneath the tarp, so they're gonna stay dry. All you do is pull them down, or if you had a 2-gallon bucket or something, you pull them down, scoop into your mineral box. It's all right here, it all travels along with you. And then I can refill those bags or buckets or whatever I decide to put up there. I can refill that when I take the tanks back up to the house to fill them. So ultimately, it moves with me. I don't have to carry anything out to the pasture, ever. I just move this trolley along as we go. So there it is. There's my water trolley. I really like it. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It was really cheap. So total, I think I've got about $400 in this. I paid $200 for the wagon though. So I don't have a ton of money into this. It works really well. It moves really well. It's easy to hook up. One thing I have noticed though, some of the negatives of it, is that the cows like being around it. So when it's wet, they will trample down that area a little more. So if you're moving your paddocks every day, you can move this every day. I've been moving it every other day, and I allow them to have that back paddock to come back into just for time's sake, and I don't have 100 head out here. So I wouldn't recommend this for anything more than 40 head maybe. I think Joel Salatin says 1 water for every 10 cows, something like that, but I don't have that many here. We got a small farm. This works really well. The cows are loving it. They lay around it. They're comfortable with it. They like the shade option that they have. It's definitely keep them cooler, less stress. And I've noticed something, that the less stress I put on my cows and the more I'm out here with them, the more comfortable they are. We first brought them to the farm, I couldn't get within 50 yards of these things, and I'd have to run them through gates and all that kind of stuff. Now I can walk right up and pretty much put my hands right on them. If they've got some extra flies, I've got some organic fly spray liquid I can spray right on them. But they're comfortable out here. They like it. It's lax. They have everything they need at choice, and it's right there. plus I use a Shaklee's Basic H soap for my wormer. I can put that right in that same water. They're used to it, they drink it. Every 2 months I can worm them right there organically, and the cows are right here. So I hope this video helps you. I hope you keep watching, and please comment on it if you have any suggestions about things I can add to this, things I can do. I know I've got a new bug hanger, like catch basin. I'm gonna hang from one side, try that. I've heard about solar panel bug zappers. I might try one of those, but so it has a little light on here as well. But I really like this thing, and it's really worked out well. Fairly cheap, pretty redneck looking. Grandpa might not have had this on our farm, but it works really well, and it was fairly inexpensive. So I hope these help you. Keep watching, keep subscribing, share us with your friends. Thanks a lot.